I'm gonna be honest. I have been staring at my screen for at least 2 hours trying to make the script for this. Constantly remaking, reviewing it, and tossing it to the bin and starting anew. This will probably be my final attempt, not because I am confident that I'll nail it, but because I'm tired. This is the sort of thing that makes you tired. But more than anything, it's the sort of thing that I should be talking about, now more than ever, because it is about something that I love and adore. And if you are watching this, there's a fairly non-zero chance that it's something you adore as well. Now, let's begin the story at the beginning, shall we? A while back, I retweeted a post of a certain content creator, Tree, who does make quite a few videos and fine little things that I do enjoy. He's fun, he's a good content creator, I highly recommend you give him a watch, maybe you'll enjoy him as well. But he did make a certain post, and he explains why he is enjoying the game Path of Exile 2. And that got a few interesting responses, and one of my friends, seeing that I reposted Tree's post, wanted to have my take on one of those particular replies. And I will probably be having it on the screen right about now. That particular reply, in my humble opinion, is that this person and many more misunderstand what buying a supporter pack means, and on top of that somehow expects that a game that's, for all intents and purposes, it's still early access. Even though they do pay for the entrance, it's essentially a closed beta. They somehow expect it to have more than 1,000 hours of content. Buying a supporter pack, and you can see my response is here to my friend, right here. Buying a supporter pack means that you want to support the devs and what they are doing. And you get some cosmetics for it, obviously. He also fails to understand that what he might not like is not necessarily something the other people don't like. And this is a bit of a disconnect in the gaming community overall, and I'll come back to that in a bit, but before we move forward, I just want to say, it's very rare that something is good to the extent that people talk about it. Most often, things being just good, like let's say a solid 8 or a solid 7, that doesn't really mean much unless they're reviewers and are asked for their opinions regularly or want to give their opinions at certain dates. Most people won't say anything. Most people just enjoy the game, they'll just read the book and just watch the movie. If it's just a solid 8, they might tell their friends, oh yeah, this was pretty okay. They won't normally go online and be like, oh yeah, this, that, yada yada yada. That's not gonna happen. You won't be seeing that. You know what you will be seeing though? Every single person that had a personal nitpick with the content, with the movie, the genre, the game, whatever, you will see them in full force, acting as if the Nazis are invading. I enjoyed the current PoE 1 league, Keepers of the Flame. I'm not the only one. I know several of my friends who have absolutely adored it and have been playing it way more than I have. In my case, it's my most played Path of Exile 1 league to date. And it's not the first one that I play, so it's not oh, I finally get Path of Exile, no. It's the one that I enjoy the most. And part of it is because it's not the only thing that I enjoy about gaming. For many of these people it is, and that's a problem. Because when it's the only thing you have to return to, you're gonna hit a dead end and you're gonna want more. Kind of like an addiction, some might say. And I know what you will say. Games, addictions, there's so many talks about what should be and what shouldn't be done about this. But I feel like in this case we're seeing some of the very negative parts of the gaming community coming out in those. And it's only going to get a lot worse. And there are reasons for that, and they are in part justified for it, and I do get into it later, so let's continue on. My friend says they did have to search what supporter packs were earlier before they sent that to me. And they did ask me for clarification. Did the devs say if you buy the supporter pack they'll do that specific add-ons to the game, mechanics, story, etc.? Or is it just support the devs? It's just support the devs. There's nothing else. There is no promise of, oh, we will add this thing, or you can send us things and we will add them. No. You are supporting the devs. People are complaining about the vision all the time. Hell, I have complained about the vision. There is a difference between complaining and offering constructive criticism so that the devs can learn what you, a person who said, hey, I don't like this, maybe we can change it like this, and saying that, no, I paid for this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You paid for the cosmetics, you got the cosmetics. It's cut and dry. Now, are they incentivized to listen to the people who pay for cosmetics more? Sure. That is valid. It is what makes them money, after all. Is it a guarantee, and should you be entitled to it? No. There are a nuance and a difference to those two statements. Now I go further in. My take is, yeah. And you just pay for the game, you get cosmetics. That's it. Yeah, that's cleaner. And my friend agreed. You cannot argue that you bought a lot of supporter packs and expect the devs to always give you what you want. You bought them of your own accord. Whatever the devs do with the money you give them is up to them. That's true. They are not obligated to put it back into the game, mind you. That's something a lot of people assume. No, they don't have that obligation. That's not how that works. They need to pay their developers, their artists, so on and so forth. How much they give and how much they put back into the game, those are not the same. Those are separate numbers. And you don't get a say in it. Yeah, it's not like the person entitled to a game because they bought it, the supporter packs. And they did use that argument indeed. And yeah, one thing that I don't want to point out, it's not the entire community. Like a lot of people were agreeing with Tree. Yeah, some of people went too far. Chill, you're fine, you did nothing wrong. And I agree, Tree did absolutely nothing wrong. Does he play as much as the other people? No. He admits it. I'm fairly certain I play slightly more than him. That said, the way I play and the way Tree plays are Earth and the sun. That's how different they are. He plays far closer to what some of these people complaining are doing. Me, I actually do what the PoE beta was meant for. I test the early game and the early chapters and give feedback on it. I will have plenty of time for the end game when it's time for the end game. Right now, that's not the time for it. I want the game to be good. I want the game to feel good at all levels, not just the end game. People who say that, oh, you only need to have the end game good, it gets better in 300 hours, I'm gonna put it out there. I consider them insane. You can hit that dislike button, you can report this video or whatever. It's the truth. I consider people like that to be insane. A game doesn't have to suck at the start and then get better. It can be good and progressively either keep being just as good or be even better in the late game. There's nothing stopping it from that. other than the lack of maybe feedback, which is something that I'm trying to do. It's why most of my time in Path of Exile 2 is spent going to the acts, and before hitting the end game proper, I pick a different character and go to it again, each league. And then I make feedback and send it to them. Am I a tester for them? No, I'm just another player. I do this because I want the game to be good. That's the proper way to give feedback. How this is not understood, I will never know. Moving on. And yeah, the PoE community, I mentioned it here, and this was probably the beginning of me thinking that maybe there is a video to be made here. The PoE community has the same issue as the Hollow Knight community, and several others that I will get into the video. They are addicted to a game, and play it to the point of addiction, and now anything else, or people wanting the game to be more accessible, feels like a crime to them, against them personally. And my friend has the same reaction I had. What happened to some gamers? To them having time to play other things, or having time to go outside, or just having time to not be forced to play the game to feel like you're not missing out, that feels bad. That shouldn't feel bad, that should feel good. It should be liberating, not feel like you're wasting your time trying to push even further after you've already had your slice of the cake. You shouldn't be like a goddamn demon of avarice and just stuff yourself until you burst. That's not healthy for you. And I go into it a bit more here. And to an extent, the supporter packs are part of it, because they are not cheap. So it attaches a sunk cost fallacy. They want to get their money's worth. But, if you ask me, no game is worth 200 plus euros. Specifically, to the player. Can people put more than 200 plus euros? Oh, definitely. They have, they done, they will. I'm not even 100% sure I haven't done something similar myself, at least a couple of times. Difference is, I have no delusions about what all of this means. And yeah, I do mention the highest tires for a supporter pack right now is $400 plus. I don't remember the exact numbers, I'll probably throw it on the screen if I remember doing editing. The game being unreasonably hard in the past also meant it served as a status symbol to some. That's also true. I remember when I first got into it, long ago, like maybe 4 years ago, they were so toxic about it, and the people they started hanging out were so toxic about it. Oh, you quit PoE so soon, you scrub, you don't understand, the game is too smart for you. Just so you know, purely based off of IQ, grades, and generally making plans and whatnot, I'm probably the smartest in my friend group at the time. It's not that I didn't get it. I didn't feel like it at the time. PoE back then was not a game that I wanted to play. It is now. There are people like me out there. There are people who didn't enjoy it back then, couldn't get into it, and got into it recently. So, whatever the devs are doing, you might be saying, oh, it's they're catering to casual audiences and so on. But it's working. Their numbers are higher than before, overall. They are getting more people to play the game, talk about it more, and so on. The retention might not be great, but they don't really need to have the retention be great, especially when they will have two games basically competing against each other. What they need is a little bit more adjustment. That's a matter of numbers and values, to be honest. It's such a minute problem, and yet everyone is going insane over it. And yeah, I think if I really gave it much thought, they wouldn't go have spending 200k. People have spent recently in Where Winds Meet more than twice that amount. And I can promise you, a lot of them didn't think too hard about it. And yeah, I tell my friend they give people too much credit. There are a lot of people who got every pack ever. I myself, I think, know at least 2 people who literally say they have every single pack ever, and they have showed me at the time so many cosmetics, I don't even remember all of them. There was a crazy one with a fox spirit, there was one with a star dragon that I really like. There were so many things. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, they look good. But how are you going to also manage money on the game? And my friend reinforces here what I previously stated. Whenever you buy something in a game, you always have this I spent, I can complain about it later attitude. So it amuses them when they see people complain about not getting their money's worth. If the devs don't outright price, oh, if you buy this, I'll add this to the game for you. And that's the problem and the misunderstanding that I went back and explained. There is a certain part that the supporter packs add. They add a bit of a sunk cost fallacy. They add the need to get your money's worth. People, I feel like, are too hung up on that principle. But it adds up. And then there's the time you spent, which is also a type of sunk cost fallacy added. And because of that, people expect the game to be more perfect for them each time. There comes a point where that will be literally impossible. I hope people will realize this. There comes a point where that will be 100% literally impossible to accomplish. Where you've played enough and you've done all that you can in the game. Even if new leagues get added, you've played enough, you've had enough. There will come a point where that happens. You don't have to believe me, it will happen eventually. Maybe it's already happened and you haven't even noticed and you're just pushing on through, despite the fact that you're not having fun anymore. And yeah, that's the right attitude, the one that my friend described here. Also, as a player of the game, you can complain about the game, paying more in general, is not equal to your opinion is worth more. Constructive criticism or complaints are about the mechanics are normally acceptable, because you're reacting to a game, you want the game to be better. You're saying, hey, I think this game would be better if you did this or if you changed this. That's feedback the game developers can use. The league sucks, I'm out. That's not helpful, especially when other people are enjoying it. What's a game that's supposed to do with that information? And yeah, here I go and say it kinda sucks because the same people who are flaming try spreading hate on last week pork. I checked. There's a lot of you know that thing with the Venn diagram with the circles and whatnot? Yeah, in this case it's almost a perfect circle instead of 2 separate ones. People who are spreading hate on Twitter tend to be the same ones who spread on hate on last epoch. And this is the second game the community that I wanted to mention. And I have made a bit of a... Well, it's not exactly a graph, it's more of a nice little panel that explains the current situation. So, EHG broke their promise and sold to Crafton. Now Crafton, contrary to what seems to be the common opinion, does have some fairly decent and liked games. I won't say they're not pay to win or they don't have a lot of microtransactions in them, but there's also some that don't do that as far as I can tell. And Crafton didn't really touch those. The problem was more on the developers from my understanding. So, thing is, what I don't understand is a lot of people are like, EHG, the developers of Last Epoch, should have kept that promise and closed the servers. And finished the game, which they did say they didn't have enough money, so if they would have finished it, it would have been rushed. So what we would have gotten is Last Epoch with parts of it cut out because they had to rush it, and the servers closed, and that's it. Also, no more of these seasons here. This is if EHG kept their promise. This is what the gamers would have. Now, EHG broke their promise and sold to Krafton and will add paid DLC in around a year. Mind you, the paid DLC is 1 year into the future. We don't even know the price. Yet the fact that Krafton was mentioned, the fact that it's a paid DLC for one class, which, as I mentioned here, the paid DLC will be a new class, something that was never gonna get added without the Krafton deal or some other publisher. It ended up being Krafton. Bit late to speculate on what the other publisher would have done, but we know the developers were not gonna add a new class. Ever. That was stated by them. I do not physically have the time to go through all of their dev streams because there were many. But before the deal, they stated several times they don't see adding a new class as being something they can do with their current studio size. And without the deal, the studio size would have been 0 because they would have closed due to bankruptcy. Now Last Epoch I feel like suffers from the reverse of Path of Exile. Path of Exile suffers from too many people buying the supporter packs and feeling entitled to it, and to free content and whatnot, and having the content be geared more towards them. Last Epoch suffered from not enough people buying the supporter packs, so sacrifices had to be made, and they made the deal with Krafton. Now this is a deal with the devil or honest trade that will benefit both parties. It's too bloody soon to tell. I kind of wish 11th Hour Games lied to everyone, or not necessarily lied, just didn't say anything to anyone. They just said, yeah, the funding problems are currently solved. We'll keep making the game. And like, in a year, when the expansion and the new DLC came out, they said, yeah, so we sold to Krafton. We made a partnership with them. This is how it is. By the way, this deal has been in effect for over 1 year and none of you noticed anything. It's fine. It's not gonna change, it's not gonna get worse. The game is still here. The update is free, you can play all of the other classes that were always supposed to be there. It's fine. I really wish they would have done that instead of putting out the announcement that they did with the pathetic excuse of a roadmap, which is right here. Which is, let's be honest, it's probably this turned into this. But even so, currently there are no specific news about what will be in these 2 seasons. They have said that they will give more detailed and a far better roadmap in the future. We have to see about that. The expansion itself will be free. It will be included in the price. They might increase the price of the base game. We don't know. It's gonna be in a year. A lot of people have 0 details about what's actually so bad about this. Other than, well, Krafton destroyed some Nautica too. And they do have some games which are mobile games. So of course they're gonna have microtransactions. What are we talking about here? It's... yeah. So, allow me to present the reality of what I think will happen if things go down this path. We have the community. We have 11th Hour Games. We have the recent reviews. Krafton, mind you, they're chilling. They're seeing this and they're acting like it's not directed at them, because it isn't. All the hate is directed at 11th Hour Games and Last Epoch. They're just chilling, taking their time, sipping on some Nautica juice while at it. Their other games are fine, by the way. Pristine condition, as far as I can tell. Are they the best games ever? No. But it also wasn't developed by Krafton. It's more of a... that's what those specific devs managed to do. Surprisingly, the one that Crafton did do quite directly, as far as I understand, it's PUBG, and that one's doing the best out of all of them somehow. Yeah, I legitimately went and searched what games have been ruined by Crafton. I was unable to find any other than Subnautica 2 and Last Epoch, which again, 1 year later, because this is what people don't understand. The developers from ESG, they got money from Crafton. They're being paid. Whatever money does come to Last Epoch, they do have to repay it at some point somehow. Probably to DLC, probably to new sales. We are not aware of the arrangements they have. If the money does not get repaid, and if it's such an and this overwhelmingly negative maintains itself, I'm afraid the reality will be what we see here. Crafton actually joining in to stomp out Last Epoch. And this is the sad part. I don't think the community wants this. They don't actually want to do that. If they are the actual people who play the game, I don't think they want to do that. But it is what they are currently accomplishing. It really is sad. I do wish more people would take Tree's advice. Try to respect the opinions of others, even if you're nothing like them. It's important. And yeah, one of the things that did whatchamacallit, the discussions, was that a lot of streamers and people complain about 40% monster density reduction. A lot of streamers were saying, we even asked for this. And it was Tree and many others, including myself. I was one of the people who was like, no, please, this is too much monster density, it's insane, please reduce it. My suggestion was around 20 to 30%. 40 might seem a bit extreme, but there is also time to, tone it up or down a little bit more after. But yeah, there were people who were asking for this, myself included. I was one of them. Tree was not alone. There's at the very least 2 people who did this, and a lot more people who liked this post enough to give it a like. And here I have Exhibit A of the problem. So listen, I have like 500 hours in this league. I checked the time this was posted. I checked how many days it was since the league started. This person is either lying or they have played 12.5 hours a day. Maybe more in some days and maybe less in others. But an average of 12.5 hours. That's what they say. You absolutely hate it. You have a multi-mirror car which has nothing to do in the game. 500 hours in a game. Yeah, I'm fairly certain the majority of people would have nothing to do after 500 hours in a game that hasn't majorly had a balance patch or not even a balance patch, a major content update. But this was the content update. That's the issue. There's not a single difficult, challenging, or fun endgame content activity that will bring any value to your character. First off, that you know of. There might be something you don't know of. Secondly, it might be something you don't feel like doing, which is fine. You've had 500 hours of the game. I don't think people realize that's a lot of time. And don't get me wrong, I'm the one talking, yet I have 8,000 hours in Guild Wars 2, 7,000 hours in Warframe, and God knows how many in all of the other games that I play. To say that 500 hours is not enough in a game, not just in any game, in a free-to-play game, during one of the seasons, 500 hours is plenty. If anything, I would be surprised if you have anything left to do in that time for a live service game. Let's continue. Most of the activities I have done were boring. Snooze fest, boxes, scarabs, bridge itself. That sounds like a you problem. I'm gonna be honest, that sounds like a you problem, mate. And that's another part. One of the best things that... actually no, one of the greatest skills gamers in this day and age, especially the ones who cry the most. And notice how I'm saying cry, not complain. One of the things that the gamers who cry the most are perfectly skilled at is optimizing the fun out of their game they are playing. And then complaining that they optimize the fun out of it. The quality of draws have been so bad that in this league you dropped barely over 200 divines, while in previous, at the same amount of monster killed, you had 800 divines. I feel like that's a false narrative, a false equivalent. The leagues are not supposed to be the same to each other. They're not. Naturally, the market and all the other things will change to adapt. This is something he fails to understand. Moving on. Endgame strategies are not even making a net positive for me. You ran duo blight, made a net loss. Wow, amazing, because bloodline cards are costing so much due to gold runs by... Again, strategies change. The most efficient one won't remain the same always. You are complaining about the very thing that you wanted to have. You wanted change, and when you get it, you are complaining about it. All because it's not profit, it's not worth. And it goes back to being not worth the sunk cost fallacy, not worth the amount of time and money that you spent on it. Because League was so bad and boring and so lame on Lu that Atlas content was simply deleted, that's false. That is provably false. Yes, they took some Atlas content away from the past League. That's always going to happen. The Atlas changes, it's part of the League system. There are 5 players now in the Mercenaries or Settlers League. Yes, because again, the retention is different. And to top the sun, most of the players play some stupid profit. Again, that's your problem. By trade offline being in the game. You can't sell anything because nobody even plays the game to buy your items. Maybe you should price your items according to what everyone else is pricing and then you sell them. In the early game you could not sell anything because nobody had currency. Again, that's a fault of the community not adapting and being stubborn. You see what I mean? See what I'm getting with this? So many of these people's problems are the other people. Yeah, look at this constructive criticism. No, I just happen to dislike the league because it's bad. Thanks. Doesn't even elaborate. You can go and check it on Steam if you don't believe me with this comment. You can find it. There's nothing else. I didn't clip it out of context. This is the context. That's it. Someone said people prefer to hate. It's a society thing. When they have nothing to shit on, it creates an unsafe environment for toxic and liar people. Yeah. It's the sad truth of it. Negativity gets pushed, and people, when they feel negative about something, they want to be reassured that their feelings are the correct one, that they are just in their hatred. It's a social thing. It's not pretty, but it's the sad truth of it. Moving on. One thing that happens is a lot of people combine patch and league together instead of giving an opinion on them separately. Some can like the patch but hate the league or the opposite. The league mechanic is kinda meh if you ask me, but the rewards for it on solo self-found are pretty good. I agree. This is my take as well. It's not overly wow mechanics wise, but the rewards are fairly good. It's easy to get good rolls. to combine later, and some Fallborn uniques are super good. Combine that with the patch changes and the Bloodline Ascendancy, and there are new builds to try out, as well as old builds that are easy to get the pieces for and self-found. The last league, I can't remember reading a single complaint about. That is cap. That is so much cap. I had complaints about the last league. I've seen complaints about the last league. I was you, the last league. Welcome to my boots, the last league. Shoes on the other feet now. Was the best league. That was years ago. Funny enough, I think I remember playing the Beast League. Oh my god, even when I mentioned on stream that I kind of like the way the Beasts work now, I think one of my viewers specifically said, oh my god, the Beast League absolutely sucked. And I remember trying to get into the game with some of my friends when they originally got into the game. They liked it, I didn't. I quit it like day 3. People find anything to cry about these days. Yeah. Including you. And that's normal. That's okay. That's fine. The problem is when it's taken out of proportion. Out of proportion. And all of these comments that I'm showing right now, I found them on this post. Why don't too many people like this great 3.7 league? I liked it again. The current Path of Exile 1 league, one of my favorites of all time. If not the favorite of all time. And this person answers because people only see Ludners, they want Wall Street. It's simulator, not an RPG. I remember in my friend group the joke with Path of Exile when at first only one of us in our friend group back then got into Path of Exile. Let's just call him V. So we got into a game, and we know the type of player that V is in general. He's the type of player who looks at an RPG and he sees an Excel sheet of how to break the market. He adored it. He was ruling the market. He did the same in goddamn Warframe. The guy has some of the highest platinum numbers outside of the devs. That was not playing a game to the rest of us. That was playing an Excel sheet. That was our joke about this Path of Exile. You are playing an Excel sheet, you are not playing a game. Path of Exile now is closer to being a game than an Excel sheet than it ever was. And yet the problem is that the old players wanted to play the Excel sheet more. Yeah, in Calandra, people were crying left and right about loot and not doing the mechanic. There are many such cases. The reason why I'm making this video, I'm recording this, is because this last part here, this last panel with Last of Epoch, I want to avoid this. It can be avoided. It can so easily be avoided. The people, the smart people who made all of the cool systems in Last Epoch, they're not dumb. I am 100% certain they got a good deal with Crafton. But because it is with Crafton, people have already abandoned them. They feel betrayed. When in my humble opinion, a far greater betrayal would have been for them to go back on their promise to make a good game that they all would have enjoyed to play. And I think that's just sad. I'm hoping this will at least get some discussion going. I hope. It's not often that I ask people to share this with my videos with others. Not because I think they're bad or anything, but I just wanted... One of the things that I always want is for people to naturally and organically discover my videos. I don't want to say, oh yeah, like and subscribe and all that. I really don't. I hate it. I hate the clickbait some VTubers and YouTubers do with their titles. their thumbnails and so on. I hate that as well. I'm gonna have to do it here because this is not talked about enough and people should be talking about it before it is too late. Not just for Last Epoch, but for all of the games that we care about and we love. Please stop hating them before things go wrong. Because all you're doing is turning a maybe into a will. You're turning a possible future into a guaranteed one. And I refuse to believe that people who play games want to kill them. That is all.